So ever since it officially began, the My Hero Academia War for Society has just continued to get crazier and crazier as the stakes just keep mounting up, and we find ourselves as the audience getting more and more hype with every single chapter release. But even still, despite all the progression we've seen, despite all the heroes and villains we've seen fall and rise, despite all the battles that have been waged and the epic colossal proportions of the battle that we are engaged in right now with Shigaraki and the like, believe it or not, we are still only approaching the climax, the impending presence of the titanic monstrosity known as Gigantomachia, with the Paranormal Liberation Front executives on his back, really and truly has the potential to spell disaster for the heroes who are currently engaged in their fight with Shigaraki. And although we've seen Shigaraki be burned, broken, and ripped apart, he is far from losing this fight by his lonesome. And really and truly, this fight has only just begun, because I feel like it is just going to get even crazier, and that is for a very specific reason. I 100% believe that Shigaraki is going to take the power of One for All from Deku, and it's not going to be as straightforward and amazing as he thinks it might be. Now, to explain my reasoning behind this, first and foremost, we have to remember that Shigaraki was raised by All for One to surpass him. Shigaraki is the inheritor of the Darkest Throne. I mean, pretty much for the entirety of the story prior to these recent events, he has been subject to a multitude of character building situations and experiences. He has gone from being a man-child at the beginning of the series to now being a savage, and that was intended, that was the goal. The progression and development of Shigaraki that would lead him to properly being the symbol of fear was to be twofold. Firstly, he had to get his mind right, and secondly, he had to get his body in shape. And his body was more so along the lines of the doctor's expertise, so that was less of a focus narratively for us, besides the fact of us trying to race against the clock and stop him, but you get the point. All I need you to remember is the importance that has been stressed on Shigaraki's mentality and his mind and his path. Now, if Shigaraki has been set up to surpass All for One, what does that mean? What does it mean to surpass the greatest evil? Well, that would mean not being able to be stopped by the Hero Society's greatest beacon of hope. Not necessarily All Might, but rather the power he possesses, One for All. I mean, this guy, All for One, worked tirelessly and relentlessly to crush the opposition, to destroy the possessors of One for All. But even still, despite how meticulous he was in his design and his planning, he ultimately failed to truly remove them from the equation. And so although Shigaraki's bodily modifications are impressive, staggering, and immense, the single most important factor that these changes facilitate is the ability to finally take away One for All, the power possessed by Deku. However, thanks to the pressure that the heroes induced upon the villains with their raid of the Jakku General Hospital and otherwise, Shigaraki's ascension was rendered incomplete. He is not perfect. It was botched. One way or another, it was botched. Despite the incredible power outage that we've seen from him, this is not what he was ideally supposed to be like. And you know, similarly to the high-end Nomu being released preemptively, with how powerful this guy stands to be, it's hard to even fathom what 100% would even have looked like, what perfection would be. Especially considering we haven't been able to really see him go all out on account of the erasure quirk somewhat keeping him at bay. And so it's kind of hard to exactly pinpoint where the imperfections are with his new form. That is, with the exception of one particular instance, in which the will of All for One began to leak out of Shigaraki beyond his control. During his fight against the heroes, the desire to acquire and possess One for All became overwhelming, and there was mention of One for All's first user, the brother of All for One. Now, aside from the obvious reasons why this is hype and exciting and really important, think back to what I said at the beginning of the video, because with this instance, we have both the corruption of mind and the destruction of body, as Shigaraki suddenly has a portion of his face splitting apart over his eye. This power is not only domineering his mind, but tearing his body apart. But with that being said, Shigaraki was certainly aware of this intrusion. Fully recognizing it to be the encroachment of his master's will, he was able to both reject and stave it off. Doing so by destroying his mental hold on him the same way that he did with the rest of his family. And kudos to him for doing so, because that was really badass, and I certainly don't want another situation where it's like Madara and Obito where you're just a pawn, really and truly. I want Shigaraki to really be the successor to this evil force. And there's no way that he would ever have been able to do so if he weren't so mentally fortified. I mean, even when he is getting beaten and battered, blow after pulverizing bloody blow, he still, within himself, feels like nothing in the world could possibly hold him back. Nothing could stop his unrelenting force, so long as he managed to successfully stay true to his dreams, his origin, and his heart. Now, with all that being said, there is no doubt in my mind once again that Shigaraki is going to get One for All. Thematically, it only makes sense. In these sorts of stories, in these sorts of situations, you want things to be as perilous as possible. You want to make the reader terrified of what's gonna happen next, what's to come. And there is really and truly no worse situation than Deku becoming quirkless once more. It's an opportunity to see the intentions of the villains be fully realized. It's the chance to drum up the underdog aspect of your main character and have them reevaluate themselves on a deep level, and overall just really scary and just makes you want to read another chapter. There is really and truly no reason not to do this. I mean, we saw it with Naruto when the Nine Tails was taken from him. They talked about it for so long, and the Moon Eye plan coming to fruition, having the 10 Tails come out, and they did it. And furthermore, according to our Greek mythology mega theory that we made way back when, that has been proven correct in several ways thus far, Deku will certainly lose his power. Now, besides just outright winning, what can we imagine will happen to Shigaraki once he actually does manage to take and steal this power from Deku? Well, I'm imagining once again it'll be similar to a Jubito situation, where Obito took in the 10 Tails and was just, for a good while, bugging out. And that's because One for All is literally teeming with willpower. Within it is a collective consciousness. Each and every one of the former possessors of the power dedicated their lives, put their lives on the line when it came to stopping All for One. They absolutely loathe that power. When it came to Shigaraki decaying his family within his mind along with All for One, these are figures who want the best for him, who care about him and aren't intentionally being malicious against him. Whereas with One for All, they definitely would want to resist him. Not only that, but they've designated Deku to be their chosen one. And so it's safe to say that by claiming this power, Shigaraki will be tearing himself apart, if not outright killing himself by doing so. All in all, by and large, Shigaraki is the greatest power that we've seen in the story thus far. One might be able to argue All Might or All for One in their respective heydays. However, we've never actually seen that in the story, and so Shigaraki kinda takes the cake here. And regardless of whatever the hell happens, I am very excited to see it all, and I am very happy that I am able to share it with you all as well. And so to be sure you don't miss a single upload, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on your bell notifications. And while you're at it, drop a comment, let us know what you think about this theory and the whole situation with the My Hero Academia manga right now. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and twitch.tv at SliceofOtaku so we can further the conversation. Guys, we are only just getting warmed up, so I hope you're ready for even more incredible videos, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best My Hero Academia content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I am SliceofOtaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.